Hi, and welcome to Miracles of Joy webinar. Today, what I'm going to be talking about, and my business partner, Sayon, say hi, Sayon.
Hi, Sayon. Hi, Joy.
Are going to discuss a little bit about some of the sacred journeys that we've taken. Today, we're going to focus on a sacred journey that we take on an annual basis, and that sacred journey is to Teotihuacan, Mexico. And in case you're not familiar with that particular area, it actually has 3 pyramids. It is laid out very, very similar to the Giza Plateau. So you have these 2 sacred spots on the opposite side of this planet, the blue planet that we're on Earth. And you got to kind of ask yourself a question: what makes them so magical? So before I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk a little bit about what is special and unique about taking a sacred journey to Teotihuacan, Mexico. So Sayon, I'm going to go ahead and let you answer that question.
Sure. Number one, hey everybody, thanks for joining Joy and myself. The most powerful thought about that I have is it's the earth. It's the experience of being surrounded by, one could call it human history, you could call it other history, because it's a very unique place in that it has very old archaeological finds. It also has carvings cut into the rock, and it literally invites those people who enter into this place to have a very expansive awakening. The awakening is not just, oh, wow, I'm in Teotihuacan. No, the awakening is your awareness that there's something greater than you, something that can archaeologically be explained by the human measuring stick, and at the other end of that stick is something that cannot be explained. It's something that we kind of go, oh, it's sort of like Stonehenge. It's sort of like the Great Pyramid. You go to these places and you're, wow, it's relevant, it's powerful, it's amazing. And at the same point, how did it get there? Who brought it there? Or what was it created by? So these are the same sort of things that are left with you when you visit Teotihuacan, especially with Joy and myself.
So I'll talk a little bit about my experience at Teo. It's like when your feet is literally on that, I'll call it hollow ground, holy ground, sacred ground. When you actually walk there, it almost feels like you're walking into another dimension. You can actually feel the vibration and feel the energy. If you're interested in anything that's esoteric, there's aspects of this human experience that we cannot explain. The place actually changes your heart. It changes your mind. It changes your human experience. And why do people take these sacred journeys? Well, you know what? It really allows you to completely unplug from your job, your family, the internet, the world, the politics, everything that's kind of the madness that's going on in our day-to-day world, that we have these 10 balls that we're juggling at the same time. What does the sacred journey do? It really allows you to unplug for 6 or 7 days and allow you to connect with spirit, allow you to connect with the spirit that lives within inside your own heart. It allows you to just become one, and it allows you to be in a place of being in the present moment, unplugging from the past and unplugging from the future, and just being. And when you do that for a week, what ends up happening is time stops. It stands still. It feels like you've done so much in work on the inside that you come back from that experience is very changed, as a new person, a connection, just focusing and building relationships with your guides, your angels, whatever label you want to put on God, Goddess, whatever label you want to put on the all that is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why would someone be drawn to those sacred places? What's the pull that pulls them there? So I'm going to let you talk a little bit. I'll give you my perspective, but I'll let you talk about that seance. Talk about what do you think draws people to places like Teotihuacan, Mexico, to the pyramids there?
Well, like you were saying, Joy, it's a period of time to unplug. It's not just a vacation, it's a literal steeping, if you will, a saturation in an environment that's not necessarily familiar. And not trying to wax psychological here, though, when the ego has an experience that it can't put a frame of reference. You know, it's not like same time, same place, same thing, going to work, seeing the family, seeing friends, going to the local watering hole, or going into your hot yoga class. It's going into this amazing place and being saturated with energy that's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. But beyond all that, it triggers this aspect, from my point of view, it triggers an aspect within that allows consciousness to go, oh, and you start to drop all of the human day-to-day reality. And what you're left with is an unveiling and more of yourself. You were speaking about time standing still. Well, your future, your history, your past, and your present all become narrow, or I could go the opposite way and say wide, and become one. And in this experience, the spiritual, to use that buzzword, becomes physical. We become the miracle. We recognize everything for what it really is. Now, that may sound a little grandiose and a little over the top, though when you go back into this time where you're outside of Mexico City a couple of hours, and the people are all, it's a little village that's surrounding Teotihuacan, the people we stay with, their space, Joy, you know that space, the Dreaming House, they were born there. I mean, to think that there were children running around with no fence, no paparazzi, no other faces showing up but themselves, and running around and going inside into the, you know, where we can't go anymore. It must have been amazing, because it's amazing now. So for me, it's literally allowing myself to let go and to become what I am in that moment, and allow myself to be with the experience, not think it, not try to do anything other than simply be.
And from my experience, I mean, it was just it was following my own inner guidance. And you know what happened for me personally, and when I go to these places, is I work with I'm going to say different guides, and you know, I had these, I'm going to say, Panther people showing up for me for about a year before I actually went to Teotihuacan. And Teotihuacan is in the Toltec tradition. It's not a Mayan tradition. So it's a completely different tradition. And some of their warriors were known as the Panther warriors. You know, they had the black headdress. So when I felt like in my dream state, in my dreams at night, when I was having these experiences with these half lion and half human beings, that it was actually Toltec calling me back on a soul level, you know, calling me back, because it's an aspect why do we go back? We go back to gather that aspect of our soul, that aspect of who we were in the past, and actually merge it or blend it with our soul in the present. Now, this may be very esoteric, but that's how I feel about it. This is my connection to the area. They had eagle warriors as well, and I had a spirit guide by the name of Sun Eagle. So when I saw the eagle and I saw the panther and I saw the blend, I knew that I was just meant to be there. You know, I was very connected to Native American traditions at that particular time in my evolution and in my experience. So it was calling me back. It was calling me home. My experiences when I'm there are phenomenal. I mean, at the Dreaming House, as well as on the land of Teotihuacan, it's like if you're willing to get in the present moment, you will connect to your guidance. You will connect to those energies that are around you. You will actually be able to, I'll call it raising your vibration, but it's about becoming more fully of who you are. It's about shedding the mask, shedding those layers of our humanity, and really being who we are, being who our true authentic self is. So if that's something that excites you, if you have been taking classes in order to shed those aspects, this is the journey for you. This will remove layers more than you can possibly imagine in such a short period of time. If your evolution is to step forward and start developing your spiritual abilities, your psychic abilities, your healing abilities, this is the place for you to go.
I agree with you. Just to dive in, I agree with what you're saying about all that. Bottom line is, that's one of the aspects that I truly am moved and truly adore about going to sacred sites, specifically Teotihuacan, of course, is that you don't have to do anything. The biggest thing that I've had to do at any sort of spiritual space or place that's ordained to that by other human beings is you go and just let yourself be. It's a surrender. And like you said, you can peel back all sorts of stuff, and in moments it becomes irrelevant. And that's the magic of a place that has that kind of authority, that kind of disposition, that kind of presence, is that for a moment, I can only speak for myself, and I see it in Joy, I see it in other people that we've taken to Teotihuacan and other spiritual endeavors and sites I've gone to, is that it's called being humbled. Humbled in the face of something greater than the self, because it's been expanded. It's had so many other human beings and beyond. I always have a very otherworldly expression and experience in Teotihuacan because of what it has there. There are things that, sure, we human beings, we give an explanation for everything. We like to understand, so we feel more comfortable being here. The truth of the matter is, yeah, we don't know. And that's just me speaking. I'm sure there's many authorities, many people who believe they do understand, and that's appropriate for them. For me, it's about being humbled in the face of something greater than my imagination for a few moments, and being with it and letting it just wash clean. So as Joy was saying, if you're looking for something to completely move you faster, wider than maybe the path you're on now, Teotihuacan, or any sacred site for that matter, though we're speaking about Teotihuacan, this is the place for you because it has such indigenous, it has otherworldly, non-terrestrial expressions, and the people there are so different than you might expect if you have any expectations going into foreign land. This is a great place of balance, peace, and there's a great awakening that takes place.
So let me talk to you a little bit about the accommodations that are awaiting you in Teotihuacan, Mexico.
Aren't we just staying outside in tents, Joy?
What?
Aren't we just staying outside in tents? No tents?
Yes. Oh, okay. No. We're going to be actually staying at the Dreaming House.
Of course we are.
And let me tell you a little bit about my experience, or my first experience of the Dreaming House, and the expression that I see on the faces of the hundreds of people that I have seen who have walked through that gate of the Dreaming House. When you walk in, when they open that gate, you've come out of Mexico City, you're on a bus with the rest of the folks that are participating in the tour. And they open the gates of the Dreaming House, and when people walk in and they step off, it is like walking into another world. They can feel the energy. It is just the most beautiful surroundings. You'll have fluorite balls that are big enough for you to sit on, obsidian benches, obsidian balls. There's crystals all over the place. There's a labyrinth that people walk every single morning that is made of obsidian and fluorite. And it is a double occupancy, and the rooms are all decorated for I'm going to say, bright, vibrant colors.
How was it?
And it's an amazing place to, when you come in from the pyramids at the end of the day, just to be in that environment, to sit underneath the porch and just observe what's going on around. We also have, there's teaching rooms that are available, and that's where we gather at night. And we do some sharing, some meditation, some channeling.
You do
At the end of the
channeling?
day, yes.
Wow.
And we sort of like talk about, what we're going through, what are some of our experiences. So it really gives this very unique bonding sensation. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the food that's served. The food is like, you're going to eat it like, I can't even describe it. You can tell that, and the reason I say that is we come from the United States, and we sometimes, even some of us that are on a healthy path, of eating fruits and vegetables. When you're going and you're merging with that energy of that area, keep in mind that's also the same area that this food is made or brought in from local places. But in Mexico, they don't use GMOs like we do here in the United States. So everything is fresh. You can tell the energy that people make it in the kitchen. They're laughing. They're
Singing,
like, they're
music.
singing as they're making the food, and it's wonderful. We do accommodate special diets. So if someone is gluten-free or they're paleo or there's certain diets that they have, I turn around and say, just let us know. And the Dreaming House has been amazing at accommodating those diets. Is there anything you'd like to add about the Dreaming House?
Absolutely, especially for those people who have those very specific diets. We have one way that Joy and I always handle that. When you go to such a place as Teotihuacan, you want to get an offering back. So, yeah, that was my attempt at humor. Anyway, the bottom line is the Dreaming House is, as Joy had mentioned before, time. It's sort of like not time stands still, even though, yeah, they ring the bell and they eat at different times that we would normally eat. You get your siesta in, and it's quite a very different lifestyle, which one can really appreciate. Uh, so that's one thing about the Dreaming House. The next thing, beyond the food, beyond the health, beyond all that's offered there and all the energy, you're taken into a place that you feel like you're in uh, uh, the covenant. You're in this incredibly nurturing, fulfilling, healthy space. You can feel it when you walk in. And, as Joy was saying, we have sometimes we meet early in the morning, sometimes we meet later in the evening, and we have channelings and meditations and drummings and tonings and whatever we're doing with you all. But the bottom line is it's very healing. It's very just comforting. It's truly, I know why they call it the Dreaming House, because you go, when I first went there, when Joy invited me to do this with her, when I went there, I was stunned at how all of a sudden I got to wake up. I was no longer in the dream of being in Sedona or the trance of being in my world. You go into this place and you go, oh. And it reminds me, even in my own awakening, even my own world, how I can go into the trance of same time, same thing, same place.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the food that they have at the Dreaming House. It's like, what's really funny is to see people in the morning, we have breakfast. And of course, what they have out there for breakfast is there's fruit and there's yogurt and there's like toast and juice and coffee. And people start eating this. And I try to explain to them that that's not the breakfast yet. That's like the appetizer to the breakfast.
No
So
continental.
it's made with, like, you have eggs and you have tortillas and you have quesadillas and you have vegetables that are made with the eggs as well. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience. The dinners are going to be salad, soup, and they have different meals that they serve, different vegetables that they serve on a nightly basis. And that we usually have our main meal. It's about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then at night, it's usually chicken. Mostly, a lot of the food that they serve is chicken and things of that nature. At the end, at night is when we normally have our snack. And what are the snacks that they have? Well, in every meal, they have all this wonderful fruit. So they have all of this fruit. They can do quesadillas, a soup, or sandwich, little things like that. But it is enough. The food that you have is just, it's very, very fulfilling. And what I think is when something is healthy for you, your body is very satisfied with the food that you get there. It just
Absolutely. I agree with that. And also, if you're vegan or you have any of that, it's already just about vegan anyway. You know, you can add, subtract. They are very accommodating, as Joy had mentioned. And yes, you will not be wanting for food or drink at the Dreaming House.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about our excursion, and we're over at the pyramids, and I'm going to call it the Dragon Pyramid, the Sun Pyramid, the Moon Pyramid. There's a place called Heaven. There's a place of the women, and we're over there doing meditations and being in that space for 3 to 4 days. We also will have a cave ceremony. So I want to talk about a little bit about some of the people that you're going to interact with. Victor, who is a shaman in his own right, will take us on a nature walk. You will actually see pieces of obsidian on the ground that people have collected over the years that I've been going to the Dreaming House, pick up these little pieces of obsidian, and we go into a cave, and we have a ceremony that's at that cave, and we could actually see the pyramids out as we're outside. And these experiences are just, it's more of a rebirth that happens in that cave. And they're just wonderful experiences that happen. We will have Aztec dancers that will join us on the final celebration of our awakening. We do yoga, a little stretching, 15, 20 minutes every day of stretching, just to kind of help our bodies be able to adjust the energy that's happening there, as well as you do walking. You're going to have some sturdy walking shoes. It's not really difficult, the walking that we do, but if you sit in a chair, all week long and you don't have any exercise, it's more walking than what we do on our daily basis. And so it's more about getting acclimated to the area. And when we have sore thighs from walking steps and things of that nature, it's more about doing some stretches for that. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Sayan?
I believe, Joy, you have spoken about everything. And I am aware that what you're saying about the walking, whether it's the Dragon Pyramid, Quetzalcoatl, or the moon or the sun, you will have an experience that will change your life. Whether that was what you were setting out to do, I can say that with pretty simple modesty about it, because just simply walking up, we'll take you the first day when we go to the Dragon Pyramid or Quetzalcoatl. And Joy and I always relish in the fact that, oh yes, we'll be at the top of that in 3 days. And people all go, what? Because they look at the steps, they go, we have had people of all ages, from youth to elderly. We've had people in various states of array in their physical prowess of moving their body. And all I can tell you is, you will walk. It's amazing what all of a sudden, the energy of the place, just you feel upright, vertical, and erect. And it always astounds myself, and I'm sure it does with you, Joy, is that
it does.
We get them up to the top of the Sun Pyramid, and some people gallop up there. Some of us take our time, and when they go back down, they go, okay, what's next? And we all went, you want more? Oh, because what happens is, it's amazing how the earth there feeds you, and the Dreaming House takes care of us, and all of a sudden you realize what's been missing in your reality. And that's what I would say, that the greatest thing that Teotihuacan offers is that. Now, I'm sure other sacred sites do the same, and they're all different because they all have a different modality of how you'll participate. Yeah.
So let me tell you how you can find out more about these journeys. You could actually go to my website, www.miraclesofjoy.net. Again, that's www.miraclesofjoy.net, or you can call the store for more information, and I will be more than happy to email it to you. And my telephone number is 972-221-8080. Again, that's 972-221-8080. And I want to thank you so much for joining myself and Seon, so we can tell you a little bit more about some of the sacred journeys that we do. And this one in particular is one of our favorites. It's going to Teotihuacan, Mexico. Thank you for joining us.
There.
Bye for now.
Take care, everybody. Thanks, Joy. See ya.
You're welcome.